Parsha, quote, I shall harden Pharaoh's heart, and I shall multiply my signs and my wonders in the land of Egypt. Paro will not heed you. This is God talking to Moshe Rabbeinu. Paro will not heed you, and I shall put my hand upon Egypt, God says, and I shall take out my legions, my people, the children of Israel, from the land of Egypt with great judgments, and Egypt shall know that I am Hashem. My friends, this is what we can expect to see in the near future in our own days. The events narrated in our current Parshios are the blueprint for our own period in history as we near the end of our long Golos, our exile. A new president is coming to the United States. For all his histrionics, Donald Trump was a friend of Israel. Now he's departing, and the sky is darkening. The point is not to make predictions, but we learn from our current Parshios that a new Paro forgot Yosef. It is possible that similar things may happen in our own days. Whatever happens, it's clear that events are nearing a climax. The current plague is disrupting life as we know it and is proving extremely difficult to control. Just as the vaccine appears, so does a new strain of corona. Military and political tensions in the Middle East are dangerously high. And Europe is legislating anti-Torah decrees. The world is closing in on the children of Israel, just as it closed around us in Mitzrayim, in biblical Egypt. We must observe coming events closely. We will very likely see great upheavals unless our viewpoint is clearly rooted in the events narrated by the Torah. We will not be able to understand them. But if we learn from the Torah, we will know that upheavals are the prelude to redemption. It has taken almost 2,000 years of exile to reach this point. This Satan, our accuser, has unveiled his mightiest weapons to prevent our redemption. In ancient Egypt, we were tempted to assimilate into the foreign lifestyle. Many disappeared into the morass of idolatry and disappeared with the demise of Mitzrayim, of ancient Egypt. In biblical times, our enemies drowned before our eyes, and those of us who clung to Moshe Rabbeinu's holy mission were saved. They made it to Har Sinai, to Mount Sinai, and became the eternal Torah nation. They praised God, saying, I shall sing to Hashem, for he is exalted above the arrogant, having hurled horse with its rider into the sea. Here's a prophecy concerning the future of Mitzrayim, which was once the mightiest of nations. Quote, they shall be a lowly kingdom. Among the kingdoms, it shall be the lowest, and it shall no more exalt itself above the nations. And I shall diminish them, that they shall not rule over the nations. That is this week's Haftarah, by the way, from this week's Haftarah by the prophet Yecheskel Ezekiel. And here is a prophecy from the same Haftarah concerning the future of Israel. So said my Lord Hashem Elohim, when I gather in the house of Israel from the peoples among whom they are scattered. and I shall be sanctified by them in the eyes of the nations, and they shall dwell on their land that I gave to my servant Yaakov. They shall dwell upon it securely and build houses and plant vineyards when I execute judgments upon all who disdain them. Then they shall know that I am Hashem, their God. Moshe Rabbeinu was given a sign when he came to Mitzrayim. He used a doubled code expression, pokad, pokadati, I shall remember them. This was an expression we've heard before. Yaakov Avinu, according to Rashi, used it to reassure his sons of the future redemption. And then Yosef, in turn, reassured his brothers with this very same double-coded expression. When the elders of Israel heard Moshe Rabbeinu say these words, they knew the Redeemer had come. Masi Avos Simon Labanim. What happened to the fathers is a sign for the children. Our Father in heaven has given us signs for the final redemption. When we see the mighty nations crumble, when we see that the new Paro does not know Yosef, then we're to remember the events of Mitzrayim. Pokad, pokadati, he will surely remember us. Again, quoting from this week's Haftarah, on that day, I will cause the strength of the house of Israel to flower. May we see it soon in our days. Good Shabbos.